Hello everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Find Your Space talk show organized by Space for Youth. I'm Kiran Mankam is going to be your host for today's episode, and today we have with us a Chief Operating Officer of SDNX and my colleague Sakshi Sharma. Hi Sakshi, welcome to our talk show.
Hi, Kiran. It is so nice to meet you virtually here, and thank you for inviting me to your initiative, Cosmica and Space for Youth. I hope my contributions can be valued to everyone here, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me again.
That's great. We are glad to have you over here. And as you said, virtually nowadays everything is happening virtually, right? Now, now the conditions are getting little bit better, but still, world is facing different issues regarding COVID. I hope you and your family are doing well in this situation.
Yes, my family has been well. We were affected by COVID a few months ago, but we all came up with it and we are stronger than ever and we all got vaccinated. So everything is well off now. I hope your family is doing well and everyone in the audience is doing well after COVID.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's great that you guys, are well right now, and I hope the audience is also doing well and stay safe and stay healthy. So, while talking about the virtual and COVID, everything is happening remote, like everyone is working remotely right now. So, how about your current professional life? Are you also working remotely? And how a chief operating officer's day goes usually?
All right. So it was all. I mean, when I started working for STNX and now I'm working towards Helium Learning Labs, it was really exciting because we started in this, office in Delhi, Dwarka, and it was a very nice office where we had these posters of we are going to go to moon and Mars, and it was very exciting. And suddenly there is a lockdown, and everything comes over that you face. And one good thing, I will just tell you one challenge and then one good thing
Yeah,
about
sure.
working at home, is that the challenging part is that sometimes the communication is not that well off, in terms
Yeah,
of what you're working in. Also, you have to be very proactive and make people aware of what things are you working on. It kind of becomes double, so like double the work that you do in office. Um, but the most interesting part and the most happiest part of working from home is staying with your family, because at the end of the day,
uh,
when you are working and you're tired, you just see. And also I have a dog, so whenever I am feeling down or low or something like this happens, a responsibility occurs and I'm not able to act on it, and I feel low, I go to the dog or my family, and then it cheers me up. So that is what my coping mechanism is. I also try to pursue one of my hobbies, and that is how I cope up with all of these things. Coming up to how my day looks as chief operating officer, um, I start my day at 5 a.m. Lastly at 5:30 a.m. Where
wow.
I because the thing is, once you start working, we start working at 9 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. So I do not get time for myself. So I start my day at 5:30 a.m. for this reason. I do yoga, because if I don't read, then I think I stop learning, and that's where the problem starts. After that, once I'm done with all my things and breakfast, around 9:30 to 10 a.m. That's her average time when I start working. For STNX and Union Learning Labs, I see my calendar, what is coming up, and then we also arrange my calendar that I also have some volunteering responsibilities except STNX and Helium Learning Labs. So I have to put, all of these things in one calendar and see that, it all works out well for the day. I'm trying to be more organized as we move forward and as our team, gets big, because the more the team will grow, the more responsibilities will grow in terms of
Yeah.
being a leader. You always have to, tell people what to do. So if your thing is not sorted out, if you're not sorted out and you don't know what you have to do until unless you have organized everything, it just get all messy. You also have to, communication is a very big thing if you want to be a chief operating officer, or even the CEO of a company. Communication is something that is a key element that you need to have. So how would you communicate with your colleagues, or how would you go ahead and tell people what to do and what not to do? How would you divide their responsibilities? So yeah, this is the thing. And once I think I finish work at 5 or 6 p.m, most of the times it can go until 9 or 10 p.m, because it's just for example, GSS, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
had Global Space Summit. For Global Space Summit, I had a lot of interviews that were in unusual times because our speakers were in India. It was, different time
Yeah.
zones.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, sometime it had, I think one interview was at like 10 p.m. at night, or one interview was like really early, or something like that. So that was the whole route for GSS as well. So when you work in a startup and when you work in a company which is still growing, your responsibilities are more, and you give a lot of working hours to them. So it is very hard to also maintain work-life balance, and that is where you have to start working on it from the initial stage, and tell your higher management that this is what the balance I want to maintain. So I finish work, I don't know when, but whenever I get the time, in the evening, I spend time with my family. I dance probably. I love dancing, and then yeah, I just finish off my work, inform my colleagues that I'm done with this task today, and then yeah, we are done. We're ready for the next day.
That's amazing. That sounds like you like every day is a quite busy day, right?
Right, and
So
adventurous as well.
yeah,
Busy and adventurous. It's very learning experience. The whole experience is very fruitful and learning. So yeah, it's amazing.
yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So it's true that what they say, right? Like responsibilities come with the title, so it's not easy.
Oh yeah.
People
So
just
it's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, so people just see that wow, she's a CEO or she's a CEO of company, but that's not the only thing. Major responsibilities are there, so that's great. I learned that you like reading books, and that is something this upcoming generation need to know about it, because nowadays everybody is about podcasts, watching podcasts, listening podcasts, but they don't read. So, what kind of books do you read? Do you read only science-related books, or you like to read other non-fictional books also, or other fiction?
So, if I had to define my book reading journey, it has a lot of components. When I was a kid, I was really fascinated by fiction. I'm still fascinated a lot about fiction. So, Harry Potter and all of these
Oh,
general books,
mm-hmm.
and I was a fan of that for a long time. All these popular books that were when I was a teenager, and then slowly, gradually, now I'm moving towards more books that can make me a better person. So for example, in terms of science book, okay, I think I have a book right now. I have the book right now that I'm reading. So it's called as The Story of Western Science.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's by Susan Weiss Boer. So this was gifted to me by my brother on my birthday, and this is a book I have been waiting to read for a very long time. So it defines that, how did science came into being,
Mm-hmm.
right? So from starting from the Greeks to even the theory of Earth being the center of the universe, to us getting forward to like how did we actually reach to this point of Big Bang theory. So it's a very interesting book to read and just to explore that how exactly science came to being. Other than this, I also read a lot of life related books. So Alchemist is one of my favorites. It's a
Mm-hmm.
philosophical book which basically tells you that everything happens for a reason and you have a path to follow all the time, and you should never ever ignore the signs that you get from the universe. So it's something like that. And also, I read a lot of practical books related to business, investment, and not
Mm-hmm.
only books but also articles that comes through that and how can you be a good leader, how can you basically have a collaboration sort of environment in your organization, how can you be more emotionally intelligent towards people you're working with. So yeah, these are the few examples of
Mm-hmm.
books I read as of now.
That sounds good. That's really great. So, when you are again talking not only about your hobbies, but when you are
Mhm.
talking about SDNX, your professional life, I know that you have done couple of interesting internships before joining SDNX. Would you like to talk about that?
Right. So when I was in Australia, with UW, the University of Western
Mm-hmm.
Australia, I worked with two organizations, that is UW Ocean Works, and also I briefly designed a citizen science project for ICRA, that's the International Center for Radio Astronomy and Research. So for Ocean Works, I was an innovative communicator there. So I worked as an intern where um, so in Australia, ocean engineering is a very big thing because of
Oh,
the oceans,
yeah.
obviously, and a lot of people work on that. So I was working as an innovative communicator where you do a lot of things about see the partnership scaling, also events that happen. So how do you organize an event for them, and coming up with a lot of innovative and creative ideas related to technology or
Mm-hmm.
even like other things, so that students can get more involved in their events. With the citizen science project, do you know about citizen science project, Kiran? Like
Yeah,
what
I have
citizen science?
heard. I have heard many citizen
Right.
projects.
Right. So one of the example for citizen science project is the SETI project, where
Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So people, I used to be part of that citizen science project a few years ago, where you open your laptop and then you know run their results and
Mm-hmm.
see run their readings for searching for extraterrestrial life. So I designed a citizen science project for ICRA, where I was like getting how can we get involve students in their project. They already have their own citizen science project, which is on a base of game. But this is in science
Mm-hmm.
project based on telescope. So like how students can make their own telescope using 3D technology, and how can how can they go from one location to another location in Perth. Perth is where I live. So,
Right.
we can go from and observe the sky, and then we, record that reading, and then, that pass on to eCar. So it was a whole project that I designed during my course. So yeah, these are, two organizations that I work with. I'm also volunteering for Global Shapers now, if you
Mm-hmm.
know about the organization. So Global Shapers is an initiative by World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so what they do is they basically drive dialogue for things like climate change, or education is one of their pillars, and then also coming up with LGBTQ rights, and then also women rights, and equality. So I
Mm-hmm.
am volunteering with them right now. I am their director of strategic partnership, where I will be started working with them for bringing partnerships with them, and also I'm working on an education project with them. So yeah, this is all of the things, my present and my past.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I mean, I want to tell the audience what Sakshi here is talking about the citizen project. So there are many projects in which you have to be a citizen of a particular country, but there are projects where you don't need any citizenship. Like there are no such kind of restrictions. So please look for such opportunities because these are really great opportunities and not only about your learning, but you get to meet different people from different domains and that teach you like that help you grow in your professional life and even personal life, I would say, right?
No, definitely. I think citizen science project is a way to go for people who are even like just starting their career as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like students who want to get, who are in their undergrad, who wants to get involved in the projects and figure out what they want to go to research in. So it's a very good project, and citizen science project needs getting citizens involved. So probably people who are space enthusiasts, but not they don't work in space industry, they can get involved too in
Yeah.
these projects. So yeah, it's a very good way to start things up.
Right. And in between, you mentioned like you were in Australia. So
Hmm.
I know that you have like you have done bachelor's in physics and
Hmm.
master's in science communication, and you did
Right.
master's from Australia, right? Western
Hmm.
University,
Hmm.
University of
Hmm.
Western
The Western
Australia.
Australia. Right.
So I would like to know more about the space communication. I mean, when we say
Hmm.
communication, there are two parts. One is
Hmm.
like communication, like wireless communication or electronics
Hmm.
based communication.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
another one is like conveying messages or communicating with people.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what it was like when you say science.
Right. So I'm really glad that you asked this question, because a lot of people do not know about science communication. They know science communication, but they do not know the whole gist of it, or like the idea that it follows.
Mm-hmm.
So science communication is basically how you break down science and explain it to people, right? So it is for people to understand. For example, you are an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
If tomorrow you go ahead and you start explaining them, a very technical thing, you start something, integration or differentiation, and you start doing your mathematics, and that, this is what I mean. But normally people wouldn't understand that. What is the importance
Right.
of non-scientific people, or like people who are not from science background, is that they pay money to the government, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for our research, right? And they also define what kind of policy that are going to be established in governmental basis, and on that policy basis, for example, space policy, any education policy that includes space, um, and science communicators are the ones who handles these things. So right, they are also involved in policy, they're also involved in organizations. Like I'm involved with SCNX.
Mm-hmm.
Other science communicators will be involved in the field they're interested in. Most of the science communicators come from life sciences background, that is biology or all of these things. And then second comes physics and astrophysics. So Kiran, can you tell me two very popular science communicators in the field of physics and astrophysics?
Oh my God, that's a tricky question. I don't want to sound stupid, but it's better if you can only answer that.
No, because so Carl Sagan, right? And then Neil
Yes,
deGrasse
of
Tyson.
course. Yeah.
So Carl Sagan is considered to be one of the most celebrated science
Yep.
communicators, and then comes Neil deGrasse Tyson from our not from our generation, but definitely a scientist that we look forward to. So he's a science
Mhm.
communicator. So his efforts of telling people this and that, and he
Mhm.
did his I think masters in science communication as well with his physics degree or astrophysics degree. So right.
I
So
know.
that's what. Hmm.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what science communication is. It's telling people that science is not just for scientific people, but if you really want to
Mhm.
understand science, you can. And how I relate it to space is, or SGNX or Helium Labs, is that,
Mhm.
I am trying to make space for everyone. Science communicators are also sort of marketers of science, right? So we can also get into marketing. So basically bringing up partnerships and, how can we develop the organization. So yeah, there is a lot of components to science communication. If I go on, it will take like another 10 minutes. So let's
No,
get it
that's
over. Yeah.
that's really
Hmm.
great. I mean, till now I was not knowing that there is a branch called science communication, and maybe that was the reason I was not knowing because Carl Sagan reading books by him, and even now, like he has a very beautiful course where he, teaches about how to think about science,
Right.
and that's because if you want to understand something, you need to know how to think about it. So
Hmm.
that's really great, and I think it's like a eye opening for me, because I was not knowing there is a branch called science communication, and I feel it's very necessary because people they don't understand the necessity of having different experiments because as you said, the all experiments what we do are nothing but because of the citizens who are paying taxes and they do
Hmm.
complain like why we are not getting services why we are not receiving any services if we are paying taxes and why you are putting those money into such experiments where you don't even know that it will be profitable to us. So
True.
it's very, and I feel their science communicators part come like they play important role over there, and that's amazing to know. So guys, you know that there is another branch like where you can learn about how to communicate or how to convey these messages to laymen, and that's great. Nice. So, you studied your master's in Australia.
Hmm.
How was your experience, like say, going to
Okay.
another country, and how
Right.
did that experience? Did that experience bring any changes to your personality?
Oh, definitely. So I had a drastic change when I was in university in Australia. So
Mm-hmm.
UWA is actually one of the celebrated universities in Australia. It's one of the top 8 universities there. And once I got there, the culture is obviously very different. If you compare it to the Indian culture, there are weekends like Saturday, Sunday. There is holiday, and
They have
and
weekend.
they have really weekends, and also they have this. They're very. I don't know. I heard a lot about Australia that it's difficult being an international student. It is difficult being an international student, but not in terms of that people say that people are not helpful or supportive. I
Mm-hmm.
found Australian people very supportive and helpful and very friendly as well. There were always someone who was ready to help. They're very spontaneous people, so probably you are in market and they will say hi or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. um,
Yeah.
so it is fun like that. UWA has a very good culture as well as a university. I was pretty active in the student guild where I represented international students for 1 year, international postgrad students for one
Mm-hmm.
year. And I worked towards, how can I get them employment after they graduate because they struggled with that. That how. So I did an event called as the alumni postgrad international alumni event, where we connected alumni to these students. So I was pretty active in that as well. Australia is very popular for their beaches. One of the
Yes.
beaches in Perth
Mm-hmm.
was my favorite, called as the Scarborough Beach. They had music going on all the time. On every Thursday, they had a sunset market,
Mm-hmm.
where you can get variety of foods. Also, considering food, we have a lot of vegetarian food here. There, I am a vegetarian, so I never struggled. That's a lie that you cannot get vegetarian food there. And it definitely, in terms of my confidence and my personality, it changed me a lot, because once you get out there and you start living by yourself, and
Yeah.
also
Mm-hmm.
work part time, and you have sort of some responsibilities, and then at the same time, you have to study a lot. For an
Mm-hmm.
international student, it's difficult enough. I think, Kiran, you will understand. You are an international student, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, right. So obviously, it was a whole journey, and when I decided to come back, it was not easy to accept it
I
in
can
this,
totally understand that.
right? But then when I came back, it was, I got a lot of opportunities, and I'm still getting a lot of opportunities. So I'm grateful for UWA, and I'm grateful for the time I spent in Australia, because whoever, whatever I am right now, that part has contributed a lot. Obviously, it's also because of my parents, because my parents have supported me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that has played a very important role.
Right. So, and that's amazing to know about it. Even I feel that it's very important to interact with people from different cultures because
Hmm.
that brings out some of your hidden parts. Like
Hmm.
you might have some qualities similar to them, but because you are staying in a particular culture or in a bubble, you are not able to explore it. So that's
Right.
great. Even I know that you have studied like physics and
Hmm. Hmm.
science communication, which are not very directly connected to space
Hmm. Hmm.
sciences, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
how did you get into space sciences, and when did you realize that you want to be a part of space industry and not any other industry?
Um, okay, funny story. So I was a kid. I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and my father. We went to a bookstore, and he got me this astronomy book,
Mm-hmm.
which was, which had a lot of stuff. It's like I got fascinated. I started reading about galaxies, and the formulation of galaxies and all of these things. I started doing that, and I used to tell to my uh, classmates that I'm going to be a space scientist when I was 13 years old. When I look back, I laugh at it. They laughed at me that time. So, um, right. So that's when my journey and my love for space started. I
Mm-hmm.
have always loved space. Obviously, I had some difficulties in terms of getting into space sciences in the
Yeah.
starting,
Mm-hmm.
but physics was always my thing. So physics has, I've always was a bright student in physics, and in my 10th standard and my 11th, 12th standard, I also attempted to go for the NASA design settlement
Mm-hmm.
competition, and I did the whole research part, but unfortunately, I did not have a team that time, because
Mm-hmm.
you need a whole team for it. So, in that design settlement project, you need to have an architect with you, a graphic designer with you, who will help you out to actually shape the whole project. Um, so unfortunately, I had to drop that project, and in I think ninth standard, we had this tour to NASA, where we could have gone to, so it never happened for me in that terms. But my love for space was always
Mm-hmm.
there. So while I was studying physics, I dedicated my 3 years to that. And then I wanted to get into masters in astrophysics. But then when I came across science communication, I was like, this is something really interesting and fascinating, and I have never heard of. And that's when I got into the science communication as well. But I never, whenever I communicated science there, whatever projects I had, it was always related to space sciences. So they were never off the record. So sometimes I think once or the maybe twice it was about artificial intelligence or solar power. That's it. But most of the times it was about space sciences and physics. So I never left space sciences, and space sciences actually never left me. And then I always knew in my heart that I wanted to pursue further my career in this itself. And I tried. And once I came back, I started applying for positions. I got connected to STNX, and that's how I got into this industry. And the space industry, I want to add this,
Mm-hmm.
is the most amazing industry you can be in. I'm not talking about
Totally agree.
I'm not talking because obviously the whole exploration part and obviously the things we are achieving right now. For
Mm-hmm.
example, whatever Richard Branson did, or Jeff Bezos did currently. But it's also about the people here. So the people are so kind, empathetic. The speakers I had for Global Space Summit, all
Mm-hmm.
of them are very welcoming and very nice. So I think this is one of the best industry you can be in, and in the future it will just grow. um, so yeah, let's see where this path takes us and takes me. But I talk like 30-year-old, but I am just 25. But this is my whole journey in space sciences. I never left it. It was always there with me since 12 years old, since I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing that you mentioned two, three very important points, which I would like to, repeat it again for our audience. That as you said, it's very important that it's not like in your first attempt you'll be successful. You said
True.
that you wanted to be a space scientist, but it didn't work out earlier. So it's not like if you're passionate about it, then stop trying for it. And I'll give you an example. Like when I was doing a course back in University of Mumbai, it was about astronomy and astrophysics. And believe me, not all students were from science background. Few were are like from arts, few were from like one person he did CA. He was not having connection to space sciences at all. So it's not like that. You can study anything, but still, if you are passionate about it, ways are there. So
Right,
if
and I can add to that, Kiran.
mhm.
Can I add to that if you're
Yeah,
finished?
sure, go ahead.
Right. So, right now the space industry is booming with different careers. So we have, first and foremost example of space entrepreneurship. Then we have an example of space law and policy. We also have a very interesting example of space influencers.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of upcoming and developing space careers that people can have. Even with the Martian challenge, I think we are going to discuss about this later on. We What every organization is trying to do in the space industry right now is to make it more inclusive. So like, how can we involve a person from business? How can we involve a person from arts, space architecture, right? How can we involve a person from medicine, space medicine? The
Mm-hmm.
space is a very diverse field, and anyone can get involved. Just following up on your statement as well.
Yeah, exactly. When you say that you find this industry where amazing and different, so that's what it makes different. So it's like not only aerospace engineer or aeronautical engineer is there. No, you need electrical engineer, you need computer science
True.
person, you need not only this, you need civil engineers also, you need mechanical engineer, you need different engineers, but along with that, you need artists also. So many
Hmm.
times we see, images of galaxies. Those are nothing but artistic imagination. So based on the data what scientists get, artists form the images of it. So it's amazing that once you in this industry you get chance to work with all these different people, and that's what I feel makes space industry very interesting to work. I guess
Definitely.
this conversation answered our next question a little bit, but still, if you want to add anything, would you like to suggest um, young generation who want to build their career in the space industry, especially those who are studying in schools and colleges?
Mhm. I think one thing I would like to suggest them is never give up. In if I go to like in a philosophical term,
Mm-hmm.
um, because a lot of times, as a person, you go through a lot, and everyone comes from a very different background, right? Not only in
Right.
terms of studies, but also in terms of other things. There can be a cultural difference. There can be financial issues. There can be
Mm-hmm.
other things that you're not able to probably you have a mental condition that's why you're not able to pursue it, but you are passionate about it, right? So first of all, never stop learning. I think that is a very key element um, to pursuing career in space. For example, I would I am doing some courses in terms of how can I develop my space tech knowledge, so how can I develop my space engineering knowledge as well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I get the opportunity, I will go ahead and teach myself. And there are a lot of courses actually on future learn edx platforms, like online platforms,
Mm-hmm.
and now Helium Learning Labs, right? So you can go ahead and be part of and attend these courses from Helium Learning Labs as well, and develop your skills, and be part of the space industry. As I said, the space industry is very welcoming and very diverse. So you never have to worry about that. Oh, if I ask this person, will he or she will mentor me? So there are a lot of people who will mentor you, especially if we take an example of astrobiology,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Ilan is one of my colleagues. She's the chief training officer for SCNX, and she has been mentored from a lot of experts in astrobiology from last 1.5 years, because she went on and asked for help, right? So a lot of
Right.
people miss
Mm-hmm.
this point, that you need to ask people to help you or ask people to mentor you, and that is the only way that you will start learning and be part of this industry. So never hesitate to ask for help, never give up, and be open-minded to whatever
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that are coming your way. Probably it is not what you want in the starting, but gradually you will be moving towards your dream. So be patient. So yeah, I think these are the suggestions that I want to give.
Yeah, right. I like one point that never stop asking. So
Mm.
even like if you're asking for help, it doesn't make you any less. So that is very important. I've read one story by Swami Vivekanand where he has this conversation or with God, and then the goddess says to him that if you want something, you need to ask. Don't be like people will know, people will realize or recognize. If you want, if you need to know something, you need to ask for it. So that's really great. So now we are heading to a fun part of this talk show. So this is nothing but rapid fire. I'll be asking you a couple of questions and I want you to be as rapid as possible.
Okay.
So first question, as you are a good reader, if you if you have to recommend only one book, okay, to young generations, which one you would recommend?
I would recommend Ikigai. So,
Mm-hmm.
Ikigai is the Japanese method of staying happy in your life and just for a peaceful mind as well. So, it's a very good book that I completed, I think, 1 or 2 months ago. And I would recommend everyone to read that. And my second book will be The Alchemist. If you want to start reading, that is, the best book
Mm-hmm.
you can go for. Yeah, so I think these are the couple of books that I will suggest for now. Yeah.
Nice. That's good. Now, a little goofy question. Like, if you were invisible, where you would like
Mm.
to go?
Okay, that's a funny question. I would, I would go to one of the palaces that we have in Jaipur because I'm in Jaipur. So
Mm-hmm.
I will just visit and just to admire the architecture. So I would, visit the palace, and because sometimes you can't go in, right? Because the
Right.
the the prince and all of these live there. So yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm.
came in my mind. I don't know why, but yeah,
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 no, no. But those, like, all the palaces in Rajasthan are, like,
right, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Third question, you mentioned that you like dancing during our
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So, as being a dancer, and
Mm-hmm.
if you are given a chance, on
Mm-hmm.
which planet you would like to enjoy your dancing?
I would actually enjoy dancing on any planet that we can survive on. I think Mars has good chances. So definitely go for Mars for now, and probably the moon if we are not considering planet, because it has
Mm-hmm.
less gravity. So like I would be like bouncing around and moving my
Exactly.
hands to this, and yeah, it would be really fun.
So, as you mentioned Mars, let's say if you're an astronaut and you are the first person landing on Mars, and during your EVAs, which are nothing but extravehicular activities, you meet some other species. How would,
Hmm.
like, what would be your reaction?
I would be
Someone
like,
not from Earth. Mm-hmm.
okay, no, no, I got you. I got you. So have you seen the movie Arrival? So in the Arrival movie, what the actress does is they start to understand their language, right? So by
Mm-hmm.
writing it down and start explaining it. So obviously the first thing if you meet, and this is one of the answers from our speakers as well, and I found it really interesting. That what I would do is try to understand their language first, or but if they do not want to kill me, obviously, but if they want to kill me, I will try to protect myself,
Mm-hmm.
from them. But this is what the first thing is: you trying to understand their speech, because until unless we cannot communicate, we cannot understand, and nothing will happen. So yeah, just by
So your
action.
first reaction would be trying to communicate with them.
Yeah, I would be first
Mhm.
reaction would be like shock, obviously, but then I will move
First
on
thing you
to
would like to do.
calm
Yeah.
myself, calm myself. Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. And I guess that is important. Otherwise, without communication, we will never understand each other. So
Mm. Yeah.
now the last question. And this question is like, I'll be giving you names of few planets. And I want
Mm.
to know that what kind of parameters you would like to study or what kind of missions you would like to launch for them. So are you ready?
Yes.
First planet is Venus.
Okay, Venus. I want to study again. Like there was something found that it has life. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to study again that if, and then they said that no, it was untrue. So I want to look after it and study again if Venus actually has life. So yeah, this is one for Venus.
Okay. Second one is Jupiter.
Jupiter, I would try to understand, the gaseous atmosphere of it. Try to
Mm-hmm.
understand it more, and the big spot as well. So like what
Yeah,
exactly?
the most
Yeah.
interesting part.
Yeah.
Next is Saturn.
Saturn obviously rings. I mean, that's what it's popular for, right? So just understanding, how exactly the gravity, affects the rings, and how is it exactly being held there to the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
And the last but not the least, Mars.
Mars, obviously, on Mars, we would try to find, water, or like something that can prove that that life is
Mm-hmm.
possible here, and for humanity, it would be safe to settle down there. So yeah, that is the most important thing. The key element is water.
Yeah. That's nice. Thank you, Sakshi, for joining and sharing your experience with us. Before concluding this episode, it would be great if you can share some insights on our upcoming project, the Martian project. So, would you like to?
Definitely. So, the audience who are sitting here, we are coming up with a Martian challenge. It's launching soon, probably in a week. We will be up with a web page, with a guidebook, and whatever elements there are will be to the Martian challenge. Martian challenge is there to define. So, as Kiran you said that if you
Mm-hmm.
go there, and you are the first person there, or you are the an astronaut or a team of astronauts who are going to be there. So there is a lot of challenges that we will face in terms of not only food, in terms of shelter, in how we will create a habitat there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, also, energy sources. What kind of energy sources would we require to sustain ourselves there? And then also a lot of policy making security will be required on the Martian surface. So picking up on all these elements, mobility, how will you move on from one place to another place? So picking on all these things, we are creating Martian challenge, which contains different submission formats where students can come. It will all be released on a website, where they can submit in, and all everyone is welcome. So that includes artists, that includes engineers, people from science background, that includes every space enthusiast who have even a little knowledge about space. They can get involved. It's majorly for students, probably starting from sixth standard to university level. But we are not bounding it on age limit because every person is talented in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a little information about Martian challenge. It's a challenge that will define about what kind of solution we have to come up with, the challenges that we will face when we reach Mars. So yeah, that is the full gist of it.
Right. Yes. As Sakshi said, audience, you have to note it down that this Martian challenge is offering numerous and various opportunities to all space enthusiasts. It's not limited to any discipline or your educational background, or not even to your age limit. So please, for more information, visit our websites and our social media. You'll find all the links below in the description. And thanks, thanks Sakshi again for joining us.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for inviting me. This has been wonderful, a wonderful session. Sort of got me into my past as well, that, okay, what I have been doing and where I am right now. So, yeah, it was really good. And thank you for joining me from United States. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty late there. So, yeah, thank you for joining me today
No
here.
problem. Thank you. Okay, audience, stay tuned for more such interesting interviews. Stay healthy and stay safe.